One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads, feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take some chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What's up, gangsters?
What up, though? What up, though?
What's the word?
Man, another 7 days and went by, man. Man, it seemed like it's going by quick.
It goes by way quick.
Man, seemed like we just did this the other day.
We did.
That's how it seems. That's exactly how
no joke.
So what up, everybody? Like I said, it's another 7 days and went by. Archbishop Mike Ball, Aaron Olinger. This is the Dominant Effect. So before we get started tonight, you know, we do like we always do. What happened during your week? What's going on? How everybody doing? How your people doing? Your mom and them? You know what I mean?
Let's hear it, Aaron. Take it off.
Well, I went today to go scout out a location. I was going to be setting up at a martial arts tournament this weekend. And while I was there, I met the owner of the building and some other people and was able to book 2 more events. So
Damn.
I'm always excited to be able to stay busy, you know. Can't make no money sitting at home. Yeah.
That's for sure. Good deal. Good deal. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, man, it's unfortunate because, you know, like I told you guys last week that I haven't been able to walk for like the last month and like a week or maybe a month and a half now. And I still got about another 3-4 weeks until I can actually fully walk again. And even then it's a risk every time. But nonetheless, we're still doing good over here, man, and we're keeping positive on. I mean, this is nothing new to me. This is something I've been dealing with for like years, and so I'm stoked to at least still be here, still be able to do the show, be able to hang with family, have good food, have good drinks, man, and that's what it's all about.
So what's actually going on? I mean, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, so I have a pressure sore. Well, originally a pressure sore that happened at the bottom of my leg where the limb is, and when I'm walking, what ended up happening is that pressure sore became it was an infection, and I had to go in and try to beat it 3 different times, and I almost didn't beat it, the actual infection. And if I wouldn't have beat it, they were actually telling me that I was going to have to be re-amputated again and have my leg where I lose my kneecap, where they bring it up to the thigh. But I fortunately beat the infection. Now, this was a year and 3 months ago, May of last year. So regardless of however many months, year, whatever, it's been something that every single time, even though it healed, there's a crater in my leg. And every single time that I walk, it pushes the skin together and then it rubs up and down and stuff like that. And then it bleeds. And then it's a whole ordeal every single time. And then it can lead to infection again and again and again. So until I get insurance through the state of Alabama, which I don't qualify right now until my disability comes through, once that comes through, then I qualify for an actual surgery.
Oh, okay.
It's totally shitty. Yeah.
Right. So right now it just is more of a waiting game.
Really, it is. I mean, at this point, I'm in the waiting game of my leg actually healing so I can actually walk. And then it's been a waiting game to get disability so that I can have insurance for the last 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I pray that everything go
I appreciate that.
They're taken care of. So with me, let me see. Same, like I said, it's been the same thing. And
recording movies and shit, you know what I mean? No problem over there. Must be nice.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, it is. But like I said, we're working, and then they're, I was telling y'all before that the first movie that we was in, Riding Dirty, they doing the premiere on that on October 20th. I'm waiting for the trailer to hit, so that way I can put it out here and show everybody what's going on. But that one, the one that we're doing now, Standing on Business, that one's actually almost done. They should be done with that one within the next couple of weeks.
That's awesome.
There's a mini series coming up called Line 'Em Up. The first season is already out. Second season is what they're getting ready to do. So I got my hand in that a little bit, and then it's supposed to be 1, possibly 2 more after that. So everything moving.
That's awesome.
Like I said, I thank God for it, and that I'm able to do it. You know what I mean? That's not an opportunity that comes up all the time. So I'm just trying to soak up in that and see what it do. So,
well, that's cool, man. I'm glad. I can't wait. When is the very first time we're going to be able to see some sort of movie? You know what I mean? Where you're in it. When is that?
Like I said, when they do the premiere on the 20th, then after then it goes out. So I'll know here shortly.
So in 9 days. The premiere is in 9 days.
No, October.
October. Okay.
Yeah, October 20th.
Got you.
So that will so as soon as I get the trailer for that, then I'll know exactly the who, what, when, where, and why about everything else by then.
Well, right on. Shoot, man. Congratulations on that.
Appreciate it. So we're gonna jump into this topic tonight. And I know it's gonna be different opinions about a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of different legs that you can go on with this. And so we're gonna just hit it one little bit at a time and try to put some kind of reason into this. So So basically, where we're going is the alarming phenomenon of school shootings has emerged as a complex and multifaceted issue that has sparked nationwide concerning this debate. As you know, we just had a recent shooting in Georgia, and where you had 4 people that are now unalive and now injured. But factors contributing to this trend is like mental health crisis among the youth, exposure to violence, media, society, culture often glorifies gun use as a conflict resolution. Many young individuals may feel isolated, bullied, overwhelmed, which is now leading them to believe that violent acts may be the ultimate cure-all.
Right. The answer.
Whatever they have going on.
Right.
So also right now you have the accessibility of firearms, and which is making it pretty easy for youth and troubled youth to act on those impulses. So we're going to address the root of those problems and see if we can't come to some kind of conclusion at the end. So that's where we're going to hit tonight. So so everybody knows what happened last week. You had a 14-year-old child by the name of Colt Gray that went into a school and started shooting. Well, it's a lot of stuff dealing with that, because he was actually in class, left class. He had texted his mother and told his mother what he was going to do, and his mother tried to warn the school. But by the time she made the phone call and them actually going to get him, come to find out it happened to be another kid in his class with the same name, believe it or not. And they went and grabbed his bag, this other kid's bag, thinking that, they had the bag, not realizing that this boy had left class and with his bag and his gun and started out. So there's a video that I'm going to play. It's a couple minutes long, but my question to this is why. It's going to be why. This is going to be the question that I'm going to ask you when this is over. Is why. And the reason why I'm saying that now is because this kid here had already been in trouble prior. Last year, as a matter of fact, to the point that the FBI came knocking on the door, talking to the father, asking questions. Because he was online putting out stuff online,
exposing himself.
Yeah, that too. And it caused enough stir to where the FBI got involved, and they came and knocked on this man's door. So I'm gonna play this little video here, and then we're gonna talk about this first one.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Did you say something about school shooting?
I just told him I don't know.
You are about to witness the chilling body cam footage of school shooter suspect Colt Gray and his father getting interviewed by police last year after an online threat.
Do you have weapons in the house?
I do.
Are they accessible to him?
They are.
In 2023, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office were notified by the FBI of an online user on the chat room platform Discord making threats to shoot up a middle school tomorrow. The FBI led the police to Colin Gray's house, where Colt was living.
Hey, how are you?
Are you calling?
I am.
You want to step out where you can talk real quick? You got something that uses, you know what Discord is? So we got a tip from the FBI saying that somebody from your old address, of their divisions, they made a threat to shoot up the school. Yes, sir. And your name was associated with that address. So we went up to that address, and we weren't living there. So
Let me get dressed.
sure.
Bizarrely, Colin answered the door in his underwear, and officers were left confused of the initial interaction as they stood outside whilst he got changed.
We came out there and checked it out.
Sorry, boys.
That's all right.
Sorry, I got up watching the golf tournament and sat back down.
That was it.
Yeah.
So what? Tell me what.
You have any kids or anything living
Yeah,
here?
Colt, Gray.
Colt?
Yeah, Colt. He's my oldest son.
How old is he?
He's 13.
Play a lot of video games and stuff?
Yeah, he does. Like all the time.
Is he here right now?
Yeah.
Can you talk to him?
Yeah, absolutely. Now look, he gonna get all red face when you talk to him. Just calm, all right? So him and his, let me give you a backstory. So
Before Colin is able to get Colt to speak with the cops, he tells them that he has had problems with the law before after him and his wife split up the year prior, resulting in Colt struggling at school.
Colt and I rented a house here, so we've been good, like no problems.
Let me ask you this: do you have weapons in the house?
I do.
Sensible to you?
They are. I mean, there's nothing loaded. We do a lot of shooting. We do a lot of deer hunting. He shot his first deer this year. Yeah.
All right, well, if you want to grab them?
Yeah, y'all talk.
Or we can go in. It's up
Sounds
to
all cool.
Hang on.
What information do you have?
The information came in.
These are good dudes. Just they're told.
Hey, Colt, what's going on, bud? So did your dad kind of explain everything to you?
Said something about shooting up a school.
Did you say something about school shooting?
Never, I just told him, I don't know what. Maybe they misheard somebody else. I would never say that.
You never ever said.
No, I swear.
Do you use Discord?
Discord?
Yes, sir.
I used to. I don't have it.
When was the last time you used it?
A few months ago.
And I mean, I'm not trying to get anybody hemmed up, but like, this is some serious stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, he knows how serious it is. Trust me.
Because God forbid something happened, I didn't do my job. I'd feel pretty bad about that. So I just want to make sure you understand that if something like that happens, or you hear something like that, report it.
Yeah,
Tell your dad, tell a teacher.
Like I told him, I would promise I would never say something.
So you haven't used Discord in a few months,
Oh, no,
and you're saying you didn't say anything like that.
No, the only thing I have is Jigsaw, but I just go around there and watch videos.
Okay.
After saying that, he didn't make any comments of the sort that the FBI pointed out. Cops left the property and logged that they had spoke to him. Fast forward a year later, Colt and Colin Gray are currently in custody after Colt allegedly killed 4 and left 9 injured in a school shooting. With Colt currently facing 4 counts of murder, Colin faces murder charges and are both looking at facing life in prison.
Damn it. You know what's crazy about that situation is I didn't even know that was Colt from the Atlanta ordeal. I had no idea until the very end of that video. Interesting.
Okay, so back to, like I said, the question that I was asking is why. Now, this particular situation here that we just played, this was something that happened a year ago. Now, and also when you read in there, well, what you heard in there was that they were talking about there was a split up between the mother and the father, which a lot of times that does cause issues. I mean, especially with young kids because they don't understand, you know. So yeah, that does cause, you know, a little bit of tension here and there because you're young and you really don't know what's going on, nor do you have any possible understanding dealing with that. But he's been known for making these online threats. So you go out and you buy your kid a gun for Christmas to, I guess it's supposed to make him feel better or whatever. You know what I mean? You've been taking him hunting, which is, you know, the hunting part, that's like a rite of passage. That's something that you should do with your son, teaching them how to hunt and stuff like that. So that's, I mean, I get that part. The part that I'm not getting though is that it's been said in numerous videos that I've watched that this kid has been having a lot of mental stuff going on. He had a lot of mental issues going on. How was it ignored? You know,
it seems like it always is until it's too late. It's almost like, hey, they said and did this. Well, they didn't do anything to you yet, so we can't do anything yet. And so our hands are tied kind of ordeal. You would think that they would be able to apprehend that situation in that moment, but they can't. They can't until there's actual some sort of evidence of such. It's unfortunate.
Right. So you had the school, you had other adults that was around this kid, that had been around this kid, that has said in numerous interviews that they had voiced their opinion one way or the other, that this kid was having some issues that needed to be addressed.
Right.
I think there was one thing that I read on there about him possibly being transgender. So he was going through that as well.
Oh, so he was going through a transition.
That's one of the videos I seen said that. So you got a lot of different stuff going on. Okay. And what I want to do is, I don't want to dwell primarily on this kid. I want to talk about it as a whole. You know, from what me and Aaron was talking about earlier, between 2018 and now, you had 119 school shootings.
How many?
119.
Damn.
Between 2018 and now, 119 school shootings. What is like what's going on? What's the inside factor? You know what I mean? Like, most kids don't wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I'm gonna go to the school and
true. Right. That never came across my head when I was going to school. That never once was even a thought, you know, for sure. That's not normal, you know, and for sure, I think that there is, I mean, I think the truth is I think we should be looking a lot at big pharma. Like, why aren't we looking at the medications people are using in cases like this? Like, of course, I think that, you know, the United States has probably the highest amount of mental issues within the entire world, you know what I mean? And primarily due to drug and alcohol. And we've seen that, you know, time and time again. But I'm interested to see what Aaron's got to say about this.
I was looking at the kid's body language. I'm wondering if he was partially autistic. He couldn't stand still. He kept swaying back and forth. And he didn't make a lot of eye contact. He was more listening than he was focused with his eyes. And usually kids like that, when they blend in with the other kids will ostracize him. I mean, with his mother being gone, he lost a nurturer that was in the house. Dad's probably a rough disciplinarian and not very nurturing. So the boy's got pressure on him right there. If he's autistic and he's trying to fit into the social system of a school, he's got pressure on him there. Then if there's any bullying going on, man, there's nothing but pressure. I mean, sooner or later, a kid is going to snap. And that's a lot to put on someone's shoulders. People don't understand that these schools, whether it's grade school, whether it's high school, whether it's college, there's a whole social system within that framework. And everyone's trying to find where they fit in. And if you're being ostracized where you don't fit in, man, that's pressure in itself.
So did it come out legitimately that this kid was autistic? Because I didn't see that.
I don't know. I was
you're
just
just
reading
speaking general. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm reading his body language because, I mean, he couldn't stand still. He couldn't stay focused on the officers. He kept swaying back and forth and things.
But
and
you don't, I mean, 13-year-old kid, right? So imagine if you're 13 years old, have police officers at your door, you know you're guilty of something, right? You know, and all of a sudden you're sitting there nervous as fuck, right? So that's what I kind of read it as. But hey, you never know. Absolutely.
I saw it look just slightly different. I'm wondering if there's any sort of mental health issues there. And again, with the nurturer being gone from the house, that's mom. Dad's busy working, so he's not able to be there to help that boy's development, you know. And when he's there, he may not be as patient because he's dad. He's bringing discipline into the house. He's not trying to be mommy and be the nurturer. I mean, if there's any issues there, to catch it as early as you can, to get the human resources that that child's going to need, it's going to be the best way to handle that. But I'm gonna stop because I don't want to get too far ahead of what I want to talk about.
Well, you're right about that, Aaron, and also to add on to what you were saying there, you know, a lot of parents, especially single parent households, they work a lot. So the TV, YouTube, Facebook, your tablet, your video game, TikTok, that becomes the babysitter.
It does.
So they pick up what they see. You know, a lot of these, I mean, just take a lot of the younger kids, even younger than this, babies. You know, you can take a tablet and give it to a 2-3-year-old now, and they can sit there and scroll through and pick everything they want out of there.
Easily.
But, I mean,
you know, when my daughter was 1 year old, I mean, when she had just turned 1, she was playing with a tablet right in front of me. I was mind blown. I'm like, what is happening? You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that I would have known what the hell to do back then. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. They do catch on like that.
Yeah, they run through, and then you have a lot of kids where, you know, the parent don't want to deal with it at that particular time. So what do? They throw them their phone, they throw them their tablet or whatever.
Here's a computer, here's a laptop.
Right. Just, you know, leave me alone.
Technology.
Here, play with this. And they pick up a lot of this stuff based on what they see. You know what I mean? So not to mention you have, you know, a lot of stuff these days actually glorify violence. You know, a lot of the stuff that we watch glorifies violence. A lot of the music that we listen to glorify violence. I mean, you have these rappers on here talking all the time about shooting somebody or, you know, whatever, knowing their asses ain't doing that shit anyway. You know what I mean?
It's all pump fakes.
Right,
Yeah.
Right. They just, they fake as hell. They ain't doing that for real. You know, now hold on, let me go back. All of them ain't doing that. Now there is a couple.
There is a few that are talking the shit and doing the shit. Yeah, there is a couple.
Right. There is a couple, but there's a whole lot of them that's not.
Yeah.
But this is what's being pushed. These video games that they're playing, Call of Duty, a lot of these fighting games. What are they doing? They teaching you how to shoot. You know, they teaching you how to do it. So if you play that game long enough, and I hand you a rifle with a scope on it, you're gonna know how to use it. You know what I mean? It's like one thing is teaching the other. Like you may not think about that, but you are. You know what I mean? And who's primarily responsible for that? We are, because we the ones who's giving them the money to go buy the shit. You know, we the ones just handing them the laptops and the tablets.
Correct. You can't blame anyone other than the parent.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So we got to take our own blame in this, you know, but then too, where they done passed so many laws these days that a lot of these parents are scared to even touch these kids or even impose any kind of disciplinary action on negative behavior because of the laws that set up. You know what I mean? So when you doing, or these parents are seeing this negative behavior and you don't do anything about it, they have no consequence for it, you continue to do it. You know what I mean? It's just that simple. You know what I mean? A disrespectful boy becomes a disrespectful teenager.
Yep.
That becomes a disrespectful man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It follows its own progression. So a lot of the stuff that's dealing with this stuff right here, along with all these other schools, it's not just, you can't just blame it on the medicine. You can't just blame it on the school. You got to blame it all the way around, because a lot of this started at home.
Oh yeah, facts.
You know,
100%.
Your true discipline started at home. You know, so you ask one of these 7th and 8th grade teachers, what's it like to teach a kid that has no respect? and see what they tell you. You know what I mean? How many teachers come home every day because they have one or two, and they always have one or two.
It's true. Mhm.
That's disrespectful as hell, and you just wish, like, man, if I had 5 minutes, I would burn his ass up.
Totally.
You know what
But
I mean?
you know the reason why they are like that is because their parents allow it, right? So it comes down to the parents' responsibility for sure.
Yeah. So it all boils down to that. It starts here. You know, now with this particular one, and along with one of the other ones, they starting to go after the parents. So with this situation here, not only did they get Cole, but they got his father too. And his father actually got more charges
Mm-hmm.
than his son did. You know, his father actually is facing up to 180 years in prison.
Well, yeah, it would have been one thing if the kid went on a rampage, stole the father's gun, let's just say from a safe spot or whatever, and then all of a sudden, this happens. Yeah, that's a different scenario than this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the dad bought the firearm for the kid at 13 years old.
Right. Yes, he bought the gun, gave it to the kid. Kid used the gun, whatever. Okay, so
Right.
here's my question though. Now, you have Colin Gray, who's his father, is 54 years old. Like I said, he's facing up to 180 years in prison for what his son did. Do you think that's excessive? And what I mean by that is, okay, now I'm not saying that the parent is not to be punished for allowing your child access to be able to do what he did. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is 180 years though
Justified?
just cause?
I think it is. I mean, you had a lot of different warnings, at the same token. Let's just say the kid didn't have a firearm when the FBI showed up or the cops showed up to his house, and then they go and buy him a firearm, which is stated in the chat here. After the FBI was there last year for threatening to shoot up the school, the dad gave him an AR for Christmas late last year, and that, I mean, as a father, you had a heads up. Hey, your son is involved in some crazy shit. We haven't caught him in anything yet, so we can't arrest anybody yet. And then next thing you know, the dad goes and buys him the exact thing that the kid needs to go shoot up a school. It's kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, you kind of have to be, for every reaction, for every action, there's a reaction, right? So it's understandable why you would, kind of go balls to the wall on this case, right? That's the way it is.
Well, what you think, Aaron?
Well, I have a slightly different attitude. I was taught to hunt at 4 years old. When Martin Luther King was killed, I was very young. My dad taught me how to shoot a police 38 and 22 rifle. He felt that if he was at work and rioters got into the house, they wouldn't pay me no never mind, and I could be able to save my mother from personal injury or worse. So, and like I said, I've got the photo of the bird that I shot at 4 years old. Gun was taller than me.
Sure.
I've been around guns my entire life. They
Same
didn't
here.
give me no thrill like they do some children who's never been around them. When you put a gun in their hand, now they're super excited.
Now
It
they're
was-
Superman now, right?
It was an everyday thing for me. And I learned the safety rules of them. My dad bought me guns at a young age. I mean, I had a 32. I had a 32 auto as well, 25 auto,
Did
22
the
rifle.
FBI come to your house though and ask you, "Hey,
No.
are you
No.
you might be involved in some crazy shit here." You know what I mean? So I mean, that's kind of the
Right.
difference, right?
But I mean, just like the wall behind me here, and it's just one of the walls in my house that's got weapons. I mean, I grew up around it. So, and I was trained how to use it, when to use it, proper use of force. My dad was very strict disciplinarian, and believe me, I feared my father. I mean, even when I was a teenager and got loud with him, he put my ass up in the air and showed me the rafters of the basement. I mean, he picked me up my ass right up off the floor if I ever thought I was man enough to try to take over being man of the house. I had a direct fear of him. Now, I could have easily been a school shooter. I was bullied. That's what got me into martial arts. I got sick of it. And I complained to my dad, and he didn't have the money at the time, but he worked some overtime and he sent me to martial arts school. His only regret was that I became dangerous with it. I mean, I ended up at 16 years old with a police record for sending people to the damn hospital because I was on a revenge thing where everybody ever messed with me. He bought me some weights, started training me in weights, and I was going to karate school every day. On the weekends when people were out partying, I was training 4 to 6 hours a day because I wanted that edge. I wanted to be that much better than the people that was coming at me. Some of these people don't have that fire in their heart, and they're so meek and so mild. A lot of these kids are killing themselves when they're faced with the bullying and stuff, rather than striking out against the people that's coming at them. I mean, it's one thing to teach a person a weapon, but you also have to teach the mental discipline that goes along with it, that responsibility. And people will teach you one thing and forget the other. Like some martial arts teachers will teach you martial arts, but they won't teach you the history so that you know where it comes from, why it was necessary. Man, I mean, the physical training, the physical is great, but you also have to have the mental to go along with it. That way you're in balance. If you ever seen the yin and yang flag where the blue is circling and the red is circling, the red is the physical. If the physical overcomes the mental, you've got a mental person, big, strong, powerful, but it's got the mind of a child and he can hurt somebody without realizing it. But if the mental overpowers the physical, now you got an Albert Einstein, but his body looks like the wind will blow him away. You want to seek balance. I'm going to stop there before I get too far into it.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you this. What do you think about mainstream media's role in a lot of these shootings? Matter of fact, let me ask you this. I'm gonna say a couple names and I'm gonna see if you remember who these names are. You remember Eric Harris and Dylan Clayboy? Remember him?
Definitely. That was almost the start of it there.
Exactly. So for you ones who don't know who those two names are, those were the two teenagers that shot up Columbine, which actually got a lot of this stuff started. In the media, the way they pushed that issue out, it was like a lot of these other kids kind of glorified this stuff, you know what I mean, because of the way they were pushing it out, you know. But then you got to go back and think about all these other schools that's had this happen, you know. So you had Columbine, you had Red Sandy Hook, Virginia Tech, you had Robb Elementary, Oxford High School. You know, that's just to name a few. You know, that this stuff has happened. You know what I mean? And it's happening more on a regular basis now. You know, it's not just one thing that you see and okay, you don't hear about it no more. This has become a ongoing thing.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out exactly which part of it needs to be done. Is it more guidance from the parents, more parenting from the parents? Is it more from the school? Because I'm gonna let you talk here in a minute, Aaron, because I know that there's rules that the school has to go by as well. And then you have actual bills that's passed that's dealing with a lot of this stuff as well. So Aaron, go ahead and tell them about the 6 rules, and then go ahead and explain to the ones who may not know about House Bill 1483.
Okay. But let me make one statement. because you had mentioned about media. Claiborne and them at the Columbine, they also went on the online and got information on building bombs and actually attached bombs to some of those doors. Fortunately, none of them went off. But you know, the media is presenting so much information out there, and there's so much available to people that even people that are deranged or have mental health issues can go online and figure out how to build bombs. And that kind of information doesn't need to be out there just for everybody to have. Just same way as people are stealing these Hyundai cars because you can go on YouTube and look at videos of how to do it. That's ridiculous that is even out there. And I blame media for making some of these crimes even possible, because the information they're giving it to them for next to nothing. But going back to school responsibility, and I ran into this problem with my daughter when she was in high school and just started going to high school. I mean, she was a very pretty girl. She was smart. Any boy that tried to get with her, if she wasn't interested, their feelings would get hurt. Then they'd want to turn everybody, all their friends against her. She was an athlete. So there was jealousy among some of the other girls, how much better of an athlete she was. She dealt with a lot of issues. And I was sending her to a private high school. And I'm going to tell you this. I almost sued that high school because I done paid $8,000 for her to go there. Now, let me get into school responsibility, and then I'll finish my story later. The schools have a fiduciary responsibility. Fiduciary responsibility, that's important, to provide a safe environment for the children to be able to learn. They have that obligation to have a safe environment from bullying, from deranged people coming on the school grounds, shooting up the place. They're supposed to provide that. And I'm telling you, they're failing to do so. Now, let me continue. That's one of them. The legal obligations, right now, there's no federal law that addresses it, but all the states have laws that do address it. However, they don't enforce it. That's another problem. There should be a standardized rule across the entire United States that would cover this, and there's not. Each state has their own interpretation, and they're enforcing it to different levels. Now, again, every state has an obligation to provide a safe environment for the students, but they also must have programs to address it and the means to rectify it. So they have to not only address it, they have to come up with a solution to be able to stop it from happening again to that particular student or to the other student body as a whole. They're not doing that. Okay. If there's any civil rights violation in the bullying, it must be reported to the federal government. That's the only time the federal government will even look at these cases, is it's got to be some sort of civil rights violation involved. Now, when I investigated private schools versus state-run schools, does one have to toe the line while the other one has a little leeway? No, they both fall equal under the laws. But the bottom line here is, if children are not kept safe, there's going to be liability. And that's the reason why I almost sued the high school she was at. But my attorney, who told me he was bullied in school and they made his life a living hell, he told me to do so would green light my daughter. The teachers who students have their favorite teachers would put the word out in the student body, hey, Christina's trying to sue the school, her parents are suing the school, maybe y'all need to handle this and do something about it. And then that brings more pressure on your kid, because everybody turns against her at that point. So my attorney told me it was best just to take her out of school. Now, before I took her out of school, a lot of people are scared to go talk to the principals. I immediately made an appointment. And when I sat down in his chair and after we shook hands, did a little grip and grin, I immediately asked him, what kind of place are you running here? My daughter almost cries when I let her out to come in this damn school because she's being terrified. What are you doing about it? He had no idea what was going on. Now, my daughter told me many times that she'd be getting bullied in the hallways by small groups of people, and the teachers would be standing there in the hallways and would see it and would do nothing to help her.
Yep. That happened around my time too. Yep.
They
And
were
I was the kid that would come into the situation and then get in trouble for trying to literally stop it or get involved, because I'm not going to allow an underdog to get beaten, right?
right. And you know, it's hard for her to go up against groups of people, no matter how I would arm her. And then
Crazy.
she would end up, if she used anything, she'd be the one to go to jail. And then people would be wanting to sue me for arming her when it's their kids that are acting unruly. So I end up having to take her out of school, pay another 10 grand for her to go to another private school.
Damn it.
And she ran into a similar problem, but not to the level it was at the one school. And I'm gonna tell you, it was hard for me to sit back and watch it happen and not want to go up there and tune some of them suckers up myself.
No doubt.
Was very difficult, but I kept staying on it. And when she get out of school, Dad was sitting right there. Dad was dropping her off, watching her go in. And when she come out that door, I'm sitting in my car. Even when she was driving and would drive home, I'd be sitting in that damn parking lot when she come out and make sure that nobody put their damn hands on her.
That's right. Dad's first line of defense.
And I had many times they called the police on me. Cops would come. What are you doing here? Oh, I have a student that goes here. Well, still, why are you here? I'm here to pick her up.
Right. What the hell?
Get out, give them my ID, let them do whatever they would do. But
Insane.
The bullies had sense enough to call their parents and have the parents try to put the police on me for keeping them off my kid. So, as I said, that's your 6 responsibilities. I mean, the school is supposed to provide a safe learning environment for your kid. None of your kids should be committing suicide behind it. None of them should be blowing people away because they're not safe. And then you have the anti-bullying law, House Bill 1483. Indiana invoked this. Now, the House held it up for a long time, and I don't understand why the federal government isn't doing more to rectify this situation. But this is the 3 things of it. Again, the school must notify parents if their kid was involved in a case of bullying within 5 days of the occurrence, whether they are the bully or the victim. That's the law. Bullying includes verbal, physical, social, and electronic. Electronic would be Facebook or
Cyber,
anything
right,
that they would be doing there. Now, victims of the bullying under this House bill, victims can request a school transfer for themselves, or they can request a transfer for their bullies, which I like that. I wish my daughter would have had that option to make them kids go to another damn school. But Indiana is doing this individually, but many other states aren't picking it up.
I was just going to say that. Is that a state only to Indiana, or?
For right now it is.
Sure, sure.
Nobody else is picking up. Like I said, there should be a standardized thing across the nation. This should be, the House should be the law of the land instead of just for Indiana at the moment. I mean, you got other areas like New Jersey, they've got a task force set up to handle bullying. And when they have the parent teacher meetings and the task force attends the meetings, the parents are so sick of the bullying, they're about ready to intercede themselves. And I saw where the task force warned the parents that they could not intervene. And I'm like, now, are you saying that the parents can't intervene to defend their children? Or are you saying that you as a task force cannot intervene and that's your damn job? But let me stop there for right now.
You know, I got a question for you, Aaron, because I know we ain't roughly the same age, but you old.
Damn.
You're a little older than me.
Oh shit! He needed to establish that. Archbishop couldn't have just said no.
Right. But we damn sure older than him.
I'm younger than all y'all. That's all I know. You know what I mean?
So now you know, back in the day, a lot of kids got bullied back in the day. Okay. Mm-hmm. And, for a variety of reasons, you didn't have the right shoes, or your clothes was cheap, or you had the dollar store shoes on that sound like dress shoes when you was walking down the hallway. You know, it was numerous reasons. You know what I mean? You had the stinky kids. You had the
The dirty
variety
ones, right?
of
The
of,
awkward
of
ones,
people that you could pick on. It wasn't just one person. It was a
right?
variety of people. You could basically take your pick on who you wanted to pick on at any given time. Now, it never got to this point though. Now some kids who got bullied, the first thing they learned how to do, they went somewhere and learned how to fight so they could defend themselves. From the bully that's trying to take your lunch money or trying to
Oftentimes
push
that
you
is.
around because he's bigger than you.
Yep, that's
So
normal.
a lot of them went and learned how to fight, how to defend themselves. You didn't hear of this. You didn't have this. You didn't have shootings. You didn't have stabbings. You didn't have none of that. You just had straight up fisticuff. They walked up to you, blashing your face one good time, had a fight, whatever, got it up off your chest, and then it is what it is after that.
Sure.
Because usually if you walk up and blast somebody in the face, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do it again. Whatever they said to you, they're never
Right.
saying to you
I may
again.
think twice if I got punched in the face for saying that. I may not think about saying that again.
So that's where I say where the generations have changed as they went, and it got worse as it went. Because, back then we didn't have video games like that. You know what I mean? Like we had, like when Nintendo first came out, you know what I mean, you had like Duck Hunt or whatever, that wasn't nothing. And then,
Duck
you
Hunt
had
was a great
Sega,
game, by the way. I played that.
you had
by the
little
way.
stuff. You had like Contra, little games like that. Nothing
No
major
Call of
to
Duty.
where, right. Nothing like that to the point that, if I sit there and I play Call of Duty, enough that I can master that game, I'm basically like a Navy SEAL now. I can run around here with a gun and basically do whatever.
That's how
we
I
didn't have
feel.
none of that. We didn't have none of that. So, what do you think? Now we talked about all the bad stuff. Okay, so let's talk about now about what are some of the things that needs to be done that we could personally do, or as a group, to kind of eliminate these problems. You know what I mean? Do you have to go and put bills out to eliminate these type of games, stuff like that? Or is it to the point that
This
you
is
got to
going to
put a
be a
lot
rough
of,
one.
yeah, is it a point that you got to put a lot of 18 and over can't watch this, where they automatically put it on the televisions to where you can't do it? I mean, like, what is it needs to be done to kind of change this mind frame? Because it's not about the pills. Hell, kids been bullied forever since the beginning of time.
Yes.
They ain't have Ritalin and shit then. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That just started.
You're
You
right.
know what I mean? So, and we manage pretty well. I mean, mind you, there's a lot of crazy motherfuckers like us that's running around.
But we deal with a huge population as well.
But we didn't have to go to no pills for that though. You know
That
what I
too.
mean? You learned that as you went. You know what I mean? You went, somebody messed with you, you dealt with the situation. You know what I mean? 1, 2 things you're gonna do. You're gonna work it out, or you're gonna fight. You know what I mean? After then, it's done. You know what I mean? Back in the day, we used to fight and then turn around and go buy each other a beer afterwards. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that doesn't
That's how
happen
we used
anymore.
to handle it.
That doesn't
It's not
happen
like that
anymore. It's
now.
full emotion now.
Yeah, it's not like that now. Everybody's sensitive now.
Yeah.
Say 1, 2 things, somebody, oh man, they ready to kill you now. What is it that needs to change? What do you both think needs to happen to change to keep these kids from doing this?
I got number one answer. And I think the number one answer here in jeopardy, right, would be 1,000% parents need to be parents. And unfortunately, a lot of the times we do have a lot of careless and lackluster parents that would rather go ahead and, like we discussed, hand over a tablet over to their child and their baby for some sort of, like comfort or whatever the case is. Always instant gratification every time that you want something, you feel something, whatever. Parents are just caving in. and making it as easy as possible for them, and not thinking objective and going, hey, what is going to be best for my child in the future? Now, there's a lot of times people say, like, oh, I didn't see any signs, that this kid was going to grow up to be a school shooter, right? But the truth is I guarantee you, if I was in that house for, let's just call it half a week, I can guarantee you that I could figure that out and be like, that's the antics of someone crazy right there. We're going to have to go ahead and keep an eye on that. But the natural thing to do as obviously a parent is go, no, he's fine. He's fine. He's good. It's just ADHD. It's just this. It's just that. It's just all sorts of things. I think the wrong thing to do is actually involve big government. I think that we just need to start taking accountability for our own children. That's it.
Okay.
What do you
Can I
think?
talk now?
Of course.
I agree with a lot of what Mike said. I'd like to add to that. One of the school systems well, it's not in my area. It's about 50 miles from me. It's city of Cincinnati. What they're doing with their students right now are they're checking for signs of clinical depression, what they call clinical depression. If they see children looking like that, they want to call them in with a counselor, talk to them, get a feel for where their head is at, what's going on in their life that's having them act a certain way. You can detect some of that stuff early on if you're watching for the signs, and depression would be a major one right there. Another thing I'd want to cite of someone that's got a working system, and is Israel. Israel uses their military police at their schools. Those guys have such a foreboding presence that no smart mouth kids even mess with them because they know they're going to be dealt with immediately. Military police ain't there to be your buddy. They ain't there to be your friend. They have no tolerance for bullying. They're there. They're taught to de-escalate situations, but they're there in case terrorists try to come into that school. They're going to have to fight them to the death to protect them children. If there's any deranged people coming on those school grounds, any mental health people, any students that try to pick up a gun and start to shoot, they handle that situation fast. They don't have the problem. It does not exist because the military police defend the schools, which would clearly show right now that if they can do that with the military police, we need a better level of security at our schools. Them doors need to be locked where no one can enter the property. I mean, some of these school shootings, the people came right through the daggone front door. I mean, there should be a security guard standing there. I know some of them have police resource officers, but at one of the school shootings, I saw the police resource officer hiding, and some of the students were trying to hide behind him. He don't have the heart to be there. His job is to give his life to defend those kids. So do we need to bring in military police? Do we need that level of security? But we definitely need a high level because, again, it's a matter of time before some of these gangs or terrorists start to go into our schools. And if we're already dealing with school shooting, we don't need that problem. So we need a force on campus that is trained to handle that type of situation and that the children are going to respect. So, like I said, Israel don't have that problem.
Something interesting in Papa says we can't use military for domestic operations in the U.S. It's unconstitutional. But I can say that in defense of Aaron, I would say 100% use military vets. We have
That's
tons
what
of
I was about to say in answer to him. You have what they call private military contractors, PMC. I'd bring them in. Those would be the security at my schools. They'd have metal detectors there. I wouldn't tolerate. The problem ain't going to happen because the crazy people ain't going to be able to get in there to get at the kids. And if there's any kid in there, he ain't going to be able to bring an AR-15 inside the school. Period. But I mean, there's ways around things. There's workarounds. And I agree with what the guy said. I mean, we're not supposed to use U.S. military on U.S. grounds. I do fully feel he's right on that. But there's always a workaround. And
oh, yeah, that's typical.
if we want this problem to stop, We have to stop the bullying for one, and then we have to increase the security level to where there's no crazy people or deranged people or mental health people that can come onto those grounds and endanger those children. As far as the children go, the teachers would be a big help. The principal, if he'd get up out of that office and go out there in the hallway and just look at the kids that are being alienated, maybe he could tell them how they could change a little bit so that they can fit in better. If they're seeing any bullying, they can immediately stop it instead of just stand there and watch it happen and let kids be terrified coming into somewhere that's supposed to be a safe environment for them to learn. Again, identifying the kids early that need the resources that can help them will stop a lot of this, and better security. And I'm gonna stop there.
Okay. Let me say this. Actually, I got a couple things to say, so don't interrupt me. Let me get this out. The first thing I'm gonna say is we don't need a psych ward for these kids. Okay. Now, ever since the early 90s is when they started talking about a lot of these kids with, they got ADHD, they need this. They got attention deficit disorder, they need this. They got, and it went on and on and on to the point that every time you turn around, somebody's kid has something going on mentally that they had to take this medicine for. I think that was the beginning of what we have now. Everything cannot be cured with a pill.
Right. I agree.
What can be cured is these parents need to raise your fucking kids. That's what you need to do. Okay? Pull them away from the video game, pull them away from the TV, and raise your fucking kid. Okay? Now, when I was a kid, I didn't like it, but I got my ass whipped on a regular basis. You know why? Because I was fucking up. That's just what it was.
Yep.
Okay? Spare the rod, spoil the child. That is true to this very day. To this very day. That's the problem. You got these parents that's not properly raising your kids. You let other shit raise your kids. You let the streets raise your kids. You're not raising your kid. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just may need to grab him and beat that ass.
No kidding.
That's what you need to do. That solves a whole lot of damn problem. One ass whooping will cure a whole lot of this. Okay? Now, we sitting here doing a lot of this baby and shit. That's what we're doing. Oh, well, he's depressed. Let's give him this pill. Oh, well, he's a little anxious. Let's give him this pill. Man, fuck that. Kids been anxious and depressed since the beginning of time. You didn't put no pill on it. You know what I mean? Now, I will say that we talk about a lot dealing with these schools. And that schools should do this and they should do this and they should be watching these kids and they should be doing mental health checks and all that, which I totally agree. But that mental health check should start at home because you should know whether your kid is fucked up.
Yes.
You should know whether your kid is acting funny. If you actually spent time with your child, you knew whether something was going on with this kid to the point that you knew that you needed to take him somewhere and get him checked. We put a lot of discretion and pressure on these schools to do the job that you are supposed to be doing. A lot of these parents can't wait for school to start so they can get your kid the hell out the house.
That's a joke.
Because you done bugged the hell out of them during the summer. They can't wait for that. And then when something goes wrong, the first thing they want to do is they want to blame the school. But sometimes you need to take your finger and do this shit and point at yourself because you just as fucked up as that kid was because you ain't teaching them nothing. You know what I mean? You hiring more cops than you are teachers. But then you put all the pressure on the teachers when they overcrowded. A lot of them really ain't qualified. You putting other people, you just putting them in spaces just to fill a need. Like, okay, we need somebody to teach this. Hell, he don't know shit about social studies. Okay, throw him in there anyway. Just give him this syllabus and read off of this. You'll be fine. You know what I mean? These kids, whether they going through something they troubled, they depressed, whatever. All of that should start at home. And there should be consequences for the parents that's not doing what they're supposed to do.
Not being a parent?
Now, I'm not saying give them 180 years in prison. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that by no means. But back in the day, what did we have? Scared straight program. Kids fucking up, what they do? They sent their ass over to the county.
Scared straight, go take it.
And they let them sit there, and them guys sit there and holler and scream at their ass and threw them in the cell with them, and they sit there and stroke their head a couple times, made them
no joke.
Their ass. And what happened? They come out on the straight and narrow. You ain't hear a damn word out them kids ever since then. You know what I mean? It helped a lot of them. You know what I mean? Now, mind you, did some of those kids end up still doing what they was still doing stuff, still going to jail? Yes, because you may have changed them at that particular time, but you did not change their outdoor setting to where what we did here was going to make it make sense here. This kid is still in the street. This kid is still being raised by the street. This kid's mother works all the time and don't spend time with him. This kid's father is nowhere to be seen because throughout the years, they've made it, the government has made it to where the father shouldn't be around. You know what I mean? A lot of these families, especially if you try to go and get welfare, stuff like that, mother and father both live in the house, you ain't getting it. But let that daddy leave. They give her everything she wanted. That's what started that. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different things that's going on. A lot of this plays right into this very thing here, because if you done this first in your home, you wouldn't have to worry about these kids going out doing what they doing.
On the outside, right.
If you paid attention to your fucking kid, you would know that. Other than him just going in his room and closing the door. You know what I mean?
Parents,
then,
what about parents that think that they can't do any wrong, though?
Well, then you got certain parents. I'm gonna say this: black parents is different. I'm gonna say this.
Yeah, I understand.
They go in there, you go in, and they be like, "What do they say? Get out of my fucking room! I hate you." And what do they say? Stop cussing at me and close the door and go on about their damn business. Oh shit! I mean, seriously.
I know.
You had these kids. What was it that your mom used to say to you back in the day? I brought you in this world, and I'll take
you out. Yep.
You know what I mean? Where's that mentality at now? You don't have that mentality.
How come I grew up in that world and I didn't get the luxury world that everyone else gets to live in? What the fuck is going on? I missed the queue. I must have had bad parents, I guess. That's just kidding, obviously.
I mean, actually,
crazy
I'm glad I was raised the way I was.
Me too. I'm glad we look back at it and go, holy shit, I can see why they did this. Sure.
Yeah. Yep. Now, you didn't appreciate it when you was a kid because you just thought,
you're in trouble. That's all you know. You know what I mean?
Mama on bullshit. You know what I mean? Daddy on bullshit. Why they being mean to me? All that. But then when you got grown, you realized the reason why they did what they did to you. The reason why you took that L for that. The reason why you were on actual punishment. You know what I mean? What happened to actual punishment? Where you say, you got 2-week punishment. You're gonna sit in that damn room, you're gonna make sure you got your homework done, your
computer's pulled out,
you're gonna do these extra chores, you're gonna do all this other stuff.
Electronics are gone. Yep. That's what my parents did.
Work you for 2 weeks. You're gonna learn something. You know what I mean? None of that goes on now. These kids run the parents.
Yeah, no.
That's why they're able to do what they do.
I know.
Because
it's crazy.
If you don't set a solid foundation in your home, you can't expect nobody else to do shit with your kid.
Facts.
If you don't have it built in your house first. Bottom line. All this stuff we talking about, all the psych stuff, everything else, boil it down to one thing and one thing only. Raise your fucking kids.
Yep, I'm going to give you that. Yep, I agree with you. Go ahead, Aaron.
I want to add to what Bishop just said, and this is real life experience for me. One of the gentlemen here had made a statement in his comments about the problems that the teachers are having and how much crap they're having to put up with. They're 100% right. I sell self-defense products for a living. Inside the city of Dayton, I've got teachers who has approached me for sword canes, stun guns, pepper spray, slapjacks, any sort of weapon that they could sneak into the school in their briefcases or whatever, because they're living in fear inside the rooms. They've even told me of kids being in the rooms with guns. And I find that amazing that parents are so out of tune with their kids. They're so busy trying to be a kid's friend instead of trying to be a parent and exercise authority, that a kid can take a gun inside the school and the teacher stand there afraid for their life. And with the no child left behind in place, these kids don't even have to be educated. They're going to be promoted through school with no education and without certain skills, and they get out into the real world. It's not going to have no sympathy, not going to understand their plight. They've got no skills. They're dumb as a box of rocks, and they're not going to make it too well in this world. I mean, I feel sorry for the teachers and what they're having to go through, and the fact that they're having to buy weapons from me to take to school for their own physical protection, again, shows that these children are out of control. They have no civility skills whatsoever, no social skills whatsoever. They're coming in there as savages wanting to run the classroom, and the teachers are in fear. And that's pitiful right there. And that shows a loss of control, both at home of the parents with the kids. It shows a loss of control for the school, because like you said, the students are running the schools right now.
Yes, they are.
Right. Now, do y'all see the question that I put up on here? One of the people put on there. It says, I was forced to send my son to a tough love in living school because he was out of control. That's not what I wanted to do, but had to do because you love them and care. Now, there are situations where, you've done all you can do. And when you resorted and went through all your options, this is like, okay, I still can't get through to this kid. I need to do something, and you did that right there, which is fully explainable. Because what that means is that you noticed the problem, you tried to fix the problem, and being the fact that you didn't have the proper resources to do what you need to do, you went one step further and pushed it to try to get the help that you needed to save your child, to keep him from going down that road that you already knew that they were heading. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. You noticed it ahead of time. You took the obligation. You said, okay, I see what this is. Let me try this. Let me try this. And then once you used all your resources, like, okay, I can't figure this out. I can't do it. Let me try this here. Let me send them here. As a last ditch effort to try to put, something in his head, because kids now are hard headed. They really are. You can sit there and tell a kid something, man, they go right in one ear and out the other.
They know it
what I mean?
all.
They think they know everything. You ain't never went through shit when you grew up. You know what I mean? Do you realize that this is a revolving cycle? Everything you done, we done. Our parents done. Their parents done. It's just a revolving cycle. The only thing you did was just you may have put your little extra degree of sneakiness in it or whatever, but it was still recycled stuff. You know what I mean? And along with that recycle, you also think about a lot of this stuff that's going on, dealing with these kids. A lot of these things is generational, which means sort of like a generational curse, so to speak.
They taught it.
Because
They were taught that.
It was taught emotions.
Yes.
It came from here to this one. So somebody has to be there to be able to break that cycle. We should not have 119 school shootings.
You're right.
You know what I mean? We should not have parents burying their young children because you have a kid that has a problem.
Right.
that he don't know how to fix on his own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's crazy to me. You know, now to the father dealing with this child here, yeah, I hope he don't get 180 years. I mean, should he be punished? Absolutely. You know, because you were stupid enough to give him that, and he did what he did. Okay, so you gotta take some blame for that.
Yeah. Right.
Now there
You're
was another one that
got to
happened
take
not
some
too long ago.
accountability. Right.
Right, not too long ago, there was another one, and they charged the mother and the father, and the mother ended up going to jail. The father just so happened wasn't in the picture at the time, so he didn't end up getting charged. But the mother went to jail. You know what I mean? Because she was the primary parent. You know, but that's another thing that needs to go on. We need to somewhere along the line, you know, men and women. Granted, sometimes you know people don't like their baby mamas, and some don't like their baby daddies. Understand that, but it is not about you. It is about these kids. So sometimes you need to swallow your emotions because both of you, if you both play the role that you're supposed to play, you don't have to be together to play that role because your kid is supposed to be more important than how you feel.
That's true. That's true. You know, I have a lot of people in here saying y'all definitely hit the, great topic tonight. Steve says, unfortunately, I don't know how to fix this problem. And I oftentimes feel like that a lot of the times, if, for instance, and this goes for anything that is outside of this topic as well, is oftentimes if you just knew the facts and if you just knew why this was happening, if you had the same facts I had, you would understand my worldview, right? And so I always say that sharing this topic, you know what I mean? That's the best way to do it is get discussion going, have people have the accountability talk, you know what I mean? There isn't a lot of accountability talk around this country in general, let alone with our children, right? So nonetheless, I think that it comes down to information based. And this is exactly why we do the Diamond Effect to this day.
Aaron, go ahead and say your piece, and we're gonna
I
let you
just want
rock.
to show a picture of my daughter. This was her high school picture, and she had to deal with a lot of jealousy of girls and was getting bullied by groups of girls. Her hair was long. She was a pretty girl, athlete. And like I
No
said, I had to take her out of school and put her somewhere else because the school was not providing her with a safe environment.
Mm.
And the teachers would just stand there and watch it go down and wouldn't do anything. That's the reason why I had to get up in the principal's face. But are we at the end of the show where I'm supposed to do my ending? Okay. I feel right now that looking to see what kids are depressed, what kids are being alienated, talking with them, getting with them, building their confidence. A lot of these kids have no confidence whatsoever. And that's one of the things I learned from being in martial arts was confidence. I found out that I could fight. I just didn't believe that I could until I started learning martial arts and getting the right resources to these children, getting better school security to keep the crazies off that aren't the deranged people that shouldn't even be on school grounds to begin with, stopping the bullying and trying to identify the problems as early as possible to help these kids will do a much better job. And I'm going to end it by saying, if you prepare well today, so you may live well tomorrow. That's the line. Prepare well today, so you may live well tomorrow. And I'm going to stop there.
No, Roddy. Well, like I said, we're done. We're gonna slide out. But first of all, I want to say thank everybody once again for coming out, watching this show. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Um, pass it on. Send the link to somebody else. Send it to at least one person. Let them check it out. This topic here, like I said, we started on one thing, but then we started getting into the root part of what this is. which is exactly where I wanted it to go. I didn't want to focus on this. You know, we
Right.
talk about this, but we got to talk
Objectively,
about
though.
what's going on that caused this.
Right.
And we're all guilty of it. So I hope to the ones that watch the show that you do your due diligence and play more of a hand dealing with your children. You know, some of us don't have our children that we're around every day, but you can still be the parent. You can still instill in them kids what you need to instill in them in order for them to be stand up men and women. Okay. Also today was the anniversary of 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up first thing before we started, but it slipped my mind. But you know, salute to the families and the policemen and firefighters that all lost their lives doing 911. And you know, I know that day was. I can remember everything that I was doing that very day, just like it was like it was yesterday. And I'm pretty sure everybody that was around during that time can remember that too. But just take a second to remember that. Like I said, thank everybody for coming out. Appreciate you each and every week. And we'll see you all in 7 days.
Man, that's right. And also, I'd like to give a big shout out real quick to Brother Lee Lance and Tiffany for sending over $10 on the Cash App, man. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, man. Also, guys, thank you guys for liking the video. It's the #1 metric of all of YouTube, man. And I very much appreciate all of you guys for liking, you know, not only liking, but subscribing to not only my channel, but also the Diamond Effects over there for Archbishop. Make sure you guys go over there, hang out with him. Make sure you guys also show some love over to his Instagram, his Facebook, his TikTok. Scrolling on the bottom there. Also, donations can be received over at $ for Cash App, $Bishop 8752. Guys, I very much appreciate all of you guys having this great conversation with each and every single one of you. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys in 7 freaking days, man. Much love, honor, respect, everybody.